Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Tintle and I am the owner and designer behind the Creative Siren. So this week I am still on this whole candy kick and I'm really excited about it. So today we are going to be going over how to do a chocolate chip cookie handle on a mug. I love this design. I came up with it a couple of years ago for teachers. So you can use it for teachers and I'll share with you guys the SVG that I created to go with it. Or you can use it for Girl Scout cookies or a plethora of other things. Honestly, I just love the whole candy idea, so we're rolling with it. So there will also be a mini tutorial within this tutorial showing you how to make chocolate chip morsels. Now, I know that everyone has their preference when it comes to chocolate chips, so I will be going over how to do the thick, square, chunky ones, or if you want to do the actual chocolate chips, you know, the little morsel kinds. So it's up to you on preference, but it's gonna look so cute, and I hope that you guys really enjoy it. I know I'm really enjoying doing all of this and the candy and just all of it. I don't know why, but summer just screams like sweet treats for me for some reason. So I hope that you guys are here for it and you're rolling with it and having a good time with it. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay guys, before we can actually start on our cookie handle, we need to go ahead and make our chocolate chips. So here for this type of chocolate chip, we're doing a chunky chip, and you have to roll out a piece of milky or milk chocolate brown clay. And we're gonna cut them into ribbons. They're not very wide, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. And then I like to square them off just so we don't have any weird edges. And then go ahead and put them in an oven-safe dish. I just like to use like a Pyrex dish. Now, if you don't want to do thick chunks, you can go ahead and make the regular chocolate chips. And here you just take about a pea-size amount. You really don't want too much. And we're gonna form it into a cone shape. So you want the bottom part to be pretty flat. So I press it up against my finger, and then I cone out and I bring the top to a point. Now once I've done that, I kind of twist it a little bit to really get it to a somewhat sharper point, and then I take that point and I bend it down a little bit, just like you would see on a chocolate chip morsel. Afterwards, I tend to have like fingerprint marks all over these, so I just take a Q-tip and lightly clean it up with some rubbing alcohol. And again, go ahead and put that in an oven-safe dish and then stick them in the oven. And like always, make sure that you are following the directions on the back of your packaging for the correct temperature and length of time that they are going to be in the oven. Now we're going to move on to our handle. So I have a fully prepped mug here, and I've taped off the tops because that's just personal preference. Now I'm just rolling out a somewhat thick rope of clay, and we're gonna put it just on the outside and press that into our handle. Now this all depends, the size of clay here depends on how big you really want your cookie to be sticking out. I like mine to stick out a little bit more to really show, you know, the face of the cookie, but that's completely up to you. Now let's do the same thing for the inner part of the handle, but you're going to make your rope of clay a little bit thinner. And go ahead and just press that on the inside. Again, the thickness of this is completely up to you, whatever feels comfortable for you when it comes to holding that handle. And don't worry too much if your clay is really lumpy. That's something that I really love about this design, that you can really make this lumpy and get away with it because cookies are lumpy. Now here I'm taking another little piece of rope, and this one is even thinner than the last one, and I'm putting it on the rest of the exposed handle and just blending it in with those other two pieces of clay. Again, don't worry if this part is lumpy or bumpy and all kinds of, not smooth, because it really just will end up giving your cookie a lot more character. And now go ahead and do the same thing on the back side of your handle, adding a thinner piece of rope to that exposed handle and then blending it all in. Now sometimes when you're blending, because you're pushing the clay around, it tends to go out a little further than you wanted. So here I'm just folding that clay from the outside of our cookie handle back into the inside so it's not sticking out too far. So now that I have my cookie looking exactly the way that I want it, both in shape and in texture, I'm going to take my soft pastels and I'm going to scrape off a few colors. So I'll have kind of like this cinnamony latte brown. I have this yellow over here, and I also have a darker cinnamon brown. And I'm going to mix all of those and color the raw clay to create highlights and lowlights that you would see on a cookie. And you really want to give it more of a golden brown, not a dark brown. You can add peaks where there are like parts that are darker, and we'll just call those, the more well-cooked kind, or the well-cooked parts. And that'll really give your cookies some dimension and dynamic. And if you happen to make a mistake where you just add too much dark in one area, or it's not looking right like I just did right there, don't worry about it, because that is the beauty of our chocolate chips. It'll hide all of that. Just trust me, it'll be good. Now, before we start baking our cookie, we need to grab our chocolate ribbons that we made earlier, and we need to chop them up. I personally like to make them a lot smaller, but the way that you cut them up is completely dependent upon your style of cookie. And for this tutorial, I'm using the chunks, but if you'd prefer to use the chips, you can just ignore this part for now. Now that we have our chocolate chunkity chips, let's go ahead and push them into our cookie. Now, I don't have a specific way of doing this. I just like to take my chocolate chips and press them in randomly. I will also cut them up. I'll cut them into slivers so that we have different sizes and different dynamics of these chunky chips that go in. I also like to press them in at a diagonal so that some parts are more sunken into the cookie than other parts. But then the big thing you want to make sure of is that there are no sharp corners sticking out of your handle to where it would be uncomfortable to hold. Otherwise, just go wild with it. Cut little pieces, stick the whole chunk in there. Really just give it the aesthetic that you want to give it. Once you have all of your chocolatey chip pieces pushed into your cookie, go ahead and bake your piece following the directions on the back of your packaging. Now that our cookie is done, it's time to decorate the rest of the cup. So here I have this really pretty blue. It's called Key West and it's made by Apple Barrel. And I'm just going to completely coat any remaining stainless steel that I see. You'll probably need about 2 to 3 coats of this acrylic paint to get a nice and even coverage, and be sure to allow it to dry completely before you start adding more coats. Once your cup is fully dried and completely painted, we're going to add our glitter. I personally like to use the Mod Podge method, and that's where you just take Mod Podge and you put an even thin layer throughout the whole cup, and then you glitter from there. But use whatever method is more comfortable for you. And once you're done with your Mod Podge, go ahead and grab your favorite glitter and glitter your cup. I'm using PDB Creative Studios Sea Breeze, and it is such a gorgeous color. I couldn't help myself against this blue. So pretty. And though I know it's going to be impossible to keep all the glitter off of my cookie, I am grabbing a little paintbrush and I'm wiping away all of the stray glitter that happened to get on it. Once my Mod Podge is completely dry, I like to go in with a little bit of polyacrylic and go over my glitter to fully seal it so it doesn't move around on me. When your polyacrylic is completely dried, go ahead and give your cup a quick coat of epoxy. Now, I always like to go in with thinner coats. It creates less micro bubbles, and it's a lot better for any 3D sculpted work because then you don't lose all of your detailing. So the thinner that you can make your coat of epoxy, the better. And afterwards, hit it with some heat to get rid of any bubbles that may have come up. Now, to give this cup more of a milk and cookies feel, I decided to go in with the power wash method, where you take some Dawn power wash, squirt a few spritz on your epoxied cup when it's all dried and cured, and then spray paint over it. When you're done spray painting it, just dunk it in some water and it's all ready to go. And once that spray paint is dry, I just went ahead and covered it with another coat of epoxy, very thin coat, just to protect all of that. I normally would do a decal after this, but I actually really liked how this looked because it looked like a splash of milk with my cookie, and decided that I didn't want to ruin that, so I chose not to add a decal. But for those of you that are wanting the teacher decal that I normally would put with this cookie, I will have that linked below and it'll be available in my VIP group. And that's a wrap, guys. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it for you. I love this design because it's so simple and so easy that anybody can pull it off, and you can use it for any occasion. I'm so excited to see all of your cookies, and I'll catch you on the next tutorial. Bye! If you loved this video, be sure to click here to see our last video. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another tutorial. See you later. Bye!